Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today is Thursday, December 4th, 2025. And sorry, I've got people started messaging me as soon as I hit the stream thing, so apologies about that. Carney's conflict of interest are being discussed in the House. We all know about the conflict of interest, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. We get pantomime from the CPC while Andrew Scheer hides behind the curtains to pass the budget, but we don't actually get real movement on a plan to stop any of the things that are happening. C9's going to pass, and hate speech is going to be illegal somehow. And what is hate? Well, that's the trick. The sitting government gets to define it, right? And hate, according to the government, is anything said by someone like me, unfortunately. So they can get you up and down because if it is up to interpretation, well, their judges will interpret it for somebody like me in one way, and for somebody like a Somalian migrant, another, right? And so that's justice in Canada these days, unfortunately, and that's terrible. So it's unfortunate that on one side, great, the CPC is pointing out Carney's conflict of interest, but on the other side, they're not doing a damn thing about anything. So they're in fact, it's even worse than they're not doing anything about anything. They're pretending like they're fighting the Liberals on Twitter, X or whatever, but in the House of Commons, they're voting with the Liberals pretty reliably. If you had a bill like C5, which the Conservatives voted for, to get around your bad bill C69, how is it a good strategy to allow the Liberals an escape hatch from their bad bill? You don't vote for Bill C5. You say, hey, if you want to build a pipeline, repeal C69. And you say, and you hold them to it. But instead, they voted for it, saying, oh, we don't want to seem obstructionist. Oh, okay. We'll leave bad bills in place and create workarounds for no reason at all. It doesn't pass the sniff test. And so, uniparty. The federal government knew about layoffs in Algoma Steel before giving the $400 million. Of course they knew. Of course they knew. Jail for Enoch Burke over the Christmas season for something that happened in 2022. He keeps going back to the school, and I don't understand why he keeps going back to the school. If somebody fires you and they say, listen, Mark, you don't work here anymore. We don't want you to come in here anymore. Years later, I don't show up at work to say, hey guys, I'm here. It's nice to see you. I left voluntarily at places and then I don't go back. I'm not interested in going back. I worked with you people. We're not friends, right? And not that we're not friends I don't want to talk to you, but I have friends and you're my work colleagues and they're different. And so, and sometimes you go visit, sometimes you have close work colleagues, sometimes work colleagues become friends, but I don't go back anyway. And if I got fired, I'd go back even less. Why does this guy keep going back? It stinks to me. There's something going on with this story that we're not read in on. So anyway, it's happening in Ireland, and they're saying it's because of transgender things. And there's more going on here than meets the eye, in my opinion. And the big story of the morning is John Rustad has been forced out, or maybe he hasn't. He says on his post, he says, no, I'm not going anywhere, right? You'll have to get what's it? I can't remember what he says, to pull me out of here. And I think he has to go. I think he's going to go. So they've ended the BC legislature a day early. And there's a whole bunch of stuff to get to. So let's get to it first. John Rustad says, well, I say John Rustad's removed. Epoch Times is saying John Rustad is removed as the BC Conservative leader. Party says, but Rustad says he's staying. Here is Dallas Brody. And she says, congratulations to the new leader of the BC Liberal Party. Sorry, I mean the BC Conservative Party. And it's Trevor Halford, and he was elected as a BC Liberal, I guess. And Cosman says, at one point, I don't know, most recently, Cosman says the BC Conservative Board has passed a resolution to remove John Rustad as the party leader. The board has accepted caucus recommendation of Trevor Halford as interim leader. So earthquake happening under John Rustad, and John Rustad says, no, absolutely not happening. And so he says, I've not resigned, I've not been removed, and I'm not going anywhere. A political party's board can throw around whatever creative terminology they like. Professional incapacitation, give me a break. Let me be clear, that's not a constitutional mechanism. And so he's getting ratioed, and people are saying, you need to resign, buddy. Get out of here, you snake. And so we'll see how that all plays out. Here is what's going on with 1BC. And in the legislature, people are saying, EB is saying that 1BC got what they deserved by going to University of Victoria and trying to have peaceful discord with radical leftists. And I don't think that's true. Here is representatives of 1BC, 1BC is tweeting this out, Tim T, 1BC Chief of Staff, asks a police officer why they're not arresting violent leftists for assault. So some people can assault other people, and whether the police intervene or not depends on the views of the people doing the assault and the views of the people being assaulted. Because if the people being assaulted say these residential school claims are false, then the police will let it happen. If the people being assaulted say free Palestine, then you'll get arrested for assaulting those nice people who are much more violent than the 1BC people. So super duper weird, but we have a 2-tier system in Canada, and well, if you don't see it, you will. Here's 1BC talking to an officer, and this gentleman's blind, which he tells the officer. Here we go.
They're the ones starting fights, committing assault. You agree that assault is bad, right? I'm blind, so I'm not sure. Are you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, assault is bad, right?
Absolutely.
Assault is something people should get arrested for, right?
Well, that's what they're dealing with over there.
Are they?
No, they're not. They're just pushing.
How about he goes and gets arrested?
Okay.
How about we do that now?
And that's entirely possible.
Are they, says the blind man? The guy who can see says, oh, no, they're not. Just the one group of people are pushing the other group of people. And, along the guidelines that I said, the police are standing there doing nothing.
Oh, you don't welcome I don't welcome violent assaults on campus either. I think that's really just right.
We didn't come here to violent. We came here to talk. They came here.
So they're conflating. The students say we don't like violent people in our violent assaults in our university. And he says, well, we don't either. You guys are the ones being violent. But the students are saying that you just being here wanting to talk about this sensitive topic are actually the ones who are being violent. And that's not true. That's fundamentally not true. And so interesting. And the police will back the crazy people who say that words are violence and actual violence is not violence if it is in one configuration. But if it's in another configuration, then it's absolutely assault, and we will absolutely throw the book at you. Unbelievable. 1BC again is reposting Dallas Brody. Dallas Brody is talking to Dave Eby about what happened at U Victoria, and Eby says that they got what they deserved. So that's kind of weird.
Immediately after the police marched Professor Widdowson off campus, a land-back activist violently assaulted a 1BC volunteer, while others threw orange smoke bombs at our chief of staff, a man who is legally blind. A mob then descended into shrieks and beastly howls. It was like a display of demons. This is all on video, Mr. Speaker, and it's the true face of this decolonization movement. And this is what happens when our universities abandon the search for truth to instead breed violent left-wing mobs, just like Mao did during China's Cultural Revolution.
Member has a question.
Mr. Speaker, my question is for the Premier. Will he at least condemn this disgusting political violence and demand that UVic's president, Rabina Thomas, resign in disgrace?
Mr. Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I suspect the member got exactly what she wanted at the university, which was not a considered discussion, which was not a discussion of ideas. She is not in favor of those things. Her conduct is reprehensible. It is embarrassing. It degrades the public's opinion of every elected member in this House, and I wish you would stop it.
The things Dave Eby is saying are lies, and he is projecting. I find Dave Eby more reprehensible than I find Dallas Brody. And it's interesting that when we try and speak truth to people who hold power, instead of addressing the issue, they say that violence is what they wanted. And I think that Dave Eby is a disgusting person and he should be removed. So it's pretty wild what's happening, right? Paul says 1BC staff were violently assaulted and Premier Eby just endorsed it today in the legislature. I suspect the member got exactly what she wanted at the university. Disgusting comments from the Premier of British Columbia. Disgusting. And he should skulk back into whatever cave he crawled out of. Bruce says, breaking news, the BC NDP will be working with independent MLA Amelia B and a private member's bill that Amelia brought forward to change recall laws so they can recall Dallas Brody and Tara Armstrong of 1BC. This came to light today after Dallas Brody called on Dave Eby to defund the University of Victoria. A 1BC supporter was assaulted on the UVic campus at a non-approved 1BC event yesterday, while which saw a large counter-protest show up. A professor was also arrested for trying to debunk the claims of a mass grave in Kamloops containing 215 children. There is no mass grave. That is debunk. She's just bringing the evidence that is there, or the lack of evidence that has been presented for these wild claims. And she's the one getting arrested? Crazy town, right? Crazy town. Dallas Brody compared the counter-protesters to a Mao-style mob designed to crush political discussion. She's not wrong. I will be attending Amelia B's private members reading in the comments section, reading video. I will be attaching the private members reading video in the comment section. So it's 2 minutes. I wonder why BC cheered on this private members bill that passed first reading today, a bill which would make it easier to recall any MLA. I'm guessing if they succeed in recalling Dallas Brody and Tara Armstrong, they will then pass a new bill to put back in the old recall legislation to make it difficult to recall other people, right? You see, they want to use this against Dallas Brody and Tara Armstrong. They're going to do to these people what they've done to Lisa, the counselor in Pickering, and other people who end up in government and end up being able to start affecting change and start gaining the attention of the broader public. And this is the response. Until and unless we address this, we will keep losing. And by we, I mean the citizens of Canada will keep losing to the globalist communists who run the place. And I wish it weren't so. Drea Humphrey says, should there be a Freedom Convoy Recognition Day? Yes. Yesterday, says Tara Armstrong, I introduced the Freedom Convoy Recognition Act in the BC legislature, an important bill to officially and permanently honor the convoy's vital role in keeping Canada glorious and free when our most cherished rights were under threat. And so good for her. And I think that we are... I thought if these truckers succeed, we should have a holiday for these guys and gals. But of course, the regime doesn't want that, right? And it is a tyrannical regime at this point in time because this government does not represent us. They steal our money and they send it to Ukraine, and there's no oversight and total corruption in Ukraine, and they get kickbacks, and it's pretty much an open secret. And they hate Trump, who's exposing it, and they hate Dallas Brody, who's exposing the lies about the residential schools, and they try and claim that, oh, it's reprehensible. It's reprehensible to pretend that these things are true. It's reprehensible to play along with falsehoods or it's like saying I've murdered dozens of people. And I say, well, what do you mean? Like, there's no victims. I haven't killed anybody. You don't have any victims. Nobody's saying that I murdered anybody. There's no bodies. There's no evidence that ties me to these murders. Like, what are you talking about? And then everybody says, oh yeah, Mark the murderer, right? No. And now I have, the onus is on me to prove my innocence, but your allegations come with absolutely nothing other than allegations, right? And circumstantial evidence. Yes, I'm Mark. And yes, I say that say uncomfortable truths maybe, but other than that, you have no proof that I'm a murderer, genocidal maniac, right? And we're going along with this with the same level of proof. None. Absolutely none, right? Allegations that, we'll give us $12 million and we'll dig, and then we give the $12 million and they don't dig and nobody's held accountable. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. We're being played. And until we stop it, until we recognize the game and stop playing along with it, we will continue to get played. Pierre Poilievre says, let's talk about our economic grab bag of governance. Poilievre says liberals give $15 billion to Stellantis, the battery plant, which then announced that it will invest almost exactly that same amount in the United States. So awesome. We're helping, right? Here's Stellantis talking to Donald Trump and saying, well, we really believe in what you're doing here in this country, Donald Trump. Here's Canada's $15 billion, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great day for us at Stellantis today, because it's the day where we see CAFE regulation reconciled with real customers' demand. That's why at Stellantis we decided to invest to Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler $13 billion in the next 4 years, increasing production by 50%, delivering to the market 5 new vehicles, and creating 5,000 additional jobs. That's because we believe in what you, Secretary Taffy, and all your team is doing in this country. We believe in growth, and we are ready to invest even more. So thank you very much. Thank you very much also for this great news of the K cars, which we are very interested in. And we are very looking forward to work with Secretary Taffy, your team, in the future for the next steps. Thank you very much.
We'll get ready for those cars because we've already cleared the way. You can start right away.
We will. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Right. So electric cars, batteries being built in the USA. Wah, wah. So $15 billion, sir, and we're going to invest more because, you're going to help with growth and stuff, and everything is going to be rosy in the United States, right? Just not in Canada. Darn. CP24 is reporting the average family is expected to spend $994 more on food next year, according to a report. So, yay, do you have that extra $1,000? Great. I mean, where will you cut from? Special meals, right? Like Christmas and Easter and things like that. So it's very concerning because shrinkflation is happening a lot. And I said in 2020, I'm shocked at how cheap the food still is. And I'll say it again, I'm shocked at how cheap the food still is. We don't know how good we've got it. I think a famine is on the horizon, and I hope I'm wrong, honestly. And there's all sorts of concerning stuff with the damage done with the heavy metals in our soils, the high aluminum count in our soils, and there's a whole bunch of concerning things. And we have foods that can grow in those soil conditions, but they belong to Monsanto. And so I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's an idle worry. It's not an active worry. It's just one of those things in the background that seems like they're lining up for it, but it's not quite here yet. 15 years, 10 years maybe. But anyway, I hope I'm wrong. Super hope I'm wrong. They've got to get the free speech handled before they can starve us. Blacklock says $6 billion income tax cut, the tax cut that the Liberals tout and say, we're helping everybody, is worth $11 a year on average for the working poor. Economists tell Senate committee it provides effectively no benefit to those in poverty. So, shocking. The Liberals have done another thing. Their policy doesn't help. Oh my gosh, but it sounds real good in talking points. So that's why they do it. Oil sands action says Canada's economy would be $55 billion richer if we had got the Northern Gateway, Energy East, and Keystone XL built, says Danielle Smith. Here she is talking about pipelines. I think it's interesting because she's thinking about all the money, all of what you can do for Canada with that money. And if I'm honest, if I'm an Albertan, I'm thinking that's our money. Why are we handing it out to Canada for all of these programs, right? And doing nothing for Alberta other than jobs and stuff, right? Which jobs are fine, but where's the benefit? Donald Trump is using tariffs and the power of the U.S. economy to get rid of income taxes. And we're being given jobs that you have to work over Christmas, right? That you have to use to pay your mortgage. We're not being given free houses. We're not being given 0% lending. We're not being given all these benefits that you'd get in a rich country. We're being given jobs. You slave, right? Go to work, you slave. Let them eat cake that they pay for. Let them pay for their prison, right? We'll lock them down. I see Donald Trump and I see the things that he's doing, and he is having an impact. He is having an effect, regardless of people saying that nothing is happening. I think that there are things happening. But regardless, he fights, it seems, looks like, for the American citizen, and the American citizen benefits because he's saying we want to target this group of people, which it's a huge group of people, like people who make very little money to people who are making, I think, up to $200,000 a year, maybe more, and they want to get rid of income tax. So that's a huge deal. And I think that that's beneficial. And I think that that's utilizing the strengths of the country to benefit your people. And offering jobs seems poor. It doesn't seem like we get the benefits, the overflow, the excess of the wealth we're delivering to all of these other places. And sure, jobs are great, but it's not enough. Here's Danielle Smith.
You look at if we had gotten Northern Gateway built and Energy East and Keystone XL, we would be producing 2.5 million barrels of oil more per day, which would be generating $55 billion in GDP for our economy, of which the various levels of government get 40%. You can fill your NATO commitment with that money. You can make sure that you've got schools and hospitals and roads for that money. And if you don't have a new source of revenue, you just can't keep on borrowing forever, as we're seeing. You look at if we had got...
We should get out of NATO with that money. We should stop sending any money to NATO whatsoever because NATO tipped their hand. They started the effing war in Ukraine in 2014 in order to take land from Russia, which they said they'd never do, right? Oh yes, we should send money to NATO. We could sell oil in Alberta to pay for Canada's NATO commitments. Can we recall you, Danielle Smith? What's your game, Danielle Smith? Right? That's great. Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad that Alberta is going to pay for all of the commitments for everybody else on the backs of that oil that you're making. Good job, Alberta. Wonderful. Anybody want to ask Quebec what they're doing with all their money? Like, fucking hell. And nobody cares. Like, nobody really seems to care. Everybody's like, la, 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 la. Oh, yes, the politicians are working for us. No, they're sure not. They're definitely not. CTV News says Algoma Steel CEO Feds knew about the plan for layoffs before giving them a $400 million loan. So long as the money makes it back to my party coffers and my campaign, I don't care. Here's $400 million and we'll give you another $500 million next year. Okay. Just make sure we get reelected. Ka-ching. Incentives abound. The government should not be able to give this kind of money to steel companies or anybody else, but the government should also not be able to destroy their business. So the government should probably get out of it. I don't trust a damn thing the government's doing or done in the last 10 years. Not one. The Compact for Migration, yeah, that's been great for Canada. COVID, oh, wonderful, right? The USMCA with Freeland negotiating it, oh, perfect, right? These people don't work for us. They don't work for us. Jeffrey Rath says, Danielle Smith just told French CBC that she will campaign against Alberta independence if she even allows us to have a referendum on independence. Ha, they're going to get the report. They're going to get the report. What a shocking slap in the face to 85% of the UCP base who made it clear that they want no deals with Ottawa and who want Alberta out of Canada as soon as possible. If she thinks allying herself with Jason Kenney and Tommy the Commie Lukaszuk, I don't know how to say his name, probably would have flowed better if I knew how to say his last name, is her best political move. She's obviously spending too much time with Brian Jean. That said, French anti-Albertan CBC interviews lend even more credence to the rumors of her wanting to skip town for Pierre Poilievre's job. So she's doing French CBC interviews and they're saying, that's pretty good French there, Frenchie, right? So is Danielle Smith the right medium to move Alberta independence forward? No. What is the right medium to move Alberta independence forward? Glad you asked. Set up your own infrastructure. Set up your own province-wide vote. Have your own referendum. Count it by yourself. Deliver the results, collate the results, have lawyers say, this is what these results mean according to these papers here, and then go in and remove Danielle Smith and say, you're no longer the premier, I'm the Prime Minister of Alberta, or I'm the Premier of Alberta, Independence Alberta, whatever it is, but you don't work here anymore because this paperwork says you don't. Get out. That's how you do it. That's it.